Hello, this is Dermot O'Brien here from Sparx Systems. In recent times there has been an unprecedented obligation for staff to work at home, and hence there is a greater need for technical solutions to ensure business continuity with a distributed and remote workforce. In this presentation, we'll run over the numerous options for staff to work remotely by connecting to your work environment via the Sparx Systems Pro Cloud service. In this video, we're going to show you how to use the Pro Cloud server to access a comprehensive set of features, enabling remote collaboration between staff, clients, and off-site developers. This includes posting updates on the model to WebEA and receiving client feedback, using the reusable asset service to publish baselines for external developers to access, integrating with the client's applications for getting details like their requirements as well as exchanging discussions. Then finally, generating code for the clients based on the details obtained via the integration features. Let's introduce you to Sandra. Sandra is a business analyst, and given the current health crisis, she's been asked to work online from home. In her home office, Sandra logs into Enterprise Architect and opens her company's main repository via connection to the Sparx Systems Pro Cloud server, located at the company's headquarters. As a general starter to the day, she checks into the calendar to see what events she has logged for herself, as well as any general events logged for her group. She can quickly see which people have been marked as being in the office and who is working from home via the Pro Cloud server. She also checks on any of her team's meeting arrangements with clients. She then has a look at her workflow tasks to get an overview of any tasks that have been logged for her to complete today. In order to see what she needs to carry out, she opens the element notes to view the history of dated comments from other staff that have been working on this issue. She selects a task under more detail and reads over the last reply from a colleague before deciding how to respond. She then enacts a process, adds notes on her actions, and marks the task to be passed on for further work. Or if she feels it is complete, she marks it as finalized using any of the options like corrected, not an issue, or duplicate. On running over one of her workflow tasks, she sees that this is referencing a particular requirement. From the hyperlink, she opens that requirement. Being an issue she cannot resolve, she needs more advice from a colleague to make a decision on how to process this task. So she quickly starts a model mail to a colleague. In this, she references the item and asks for a reply on a particular point. Having completed the incoming tasks related to the customer inquiries, she then decides to check for any tasks that she has been assigned. This is all part of the general teamwork that she is involved in. So she opens the team Kanban. Although she has tasks set in a column, she also sees in the review column that there is a peer review task set for her. In this task, she needs to review a requirement element in the model against the client source document that was loaded in the team library. She clicks on the hyperlink in the notes. This opens the team library to the source document. She does a quick find to locate the item in the document. She sees the source of the issue, that there is no reference here to multiple products, as stated elsewhere by the client. She adds a note to the document. She then enables change tracking on the document and makes some changes to correct the issue. Then, assuming it needs further review, she returns to the item and sets the task to 50% complete. Having finished the review process, she feels it is time to get on with the tasks related to the development that she is involved in. So she checks the Gantt chart for her progress through the ongoing tasks in the project. She finds the latest task that is close to being due and is only partly completed. Looking at this task, she realizes that there are some tax offer specifications that need to be checked before making a definitive statement in the activity model that she is currently modeling to cover tax concessions. She opens this document in the team library. She then checks out a clause in the document. She realizes that this might have some implications on the requirements that her client B has laid out in the JIRA. So she opens the integration to client B's JIRA repository. She sees the related requirement does not cover any exception, so she posts a comment against this requirement into the JIRA entry. The client sees this and makes an update to the requirement, then posts a comment back to Sandra. She gets a reply back from the client working in Jira. Seeing that they have taken her point and now updated the requirement, she can now pull the update of the requirement into EA. Given there is a change needed in the model to reflect this, she references the use case scenario that is currently being modelled. She needs to set up an alternate path in the scenario to account for non-text educational publications. Then on the alternate path, she needs an action stating there is no additional tax. She then sets the return path to the item display initial cost. She then generates off the activity diagram. This now shows the exception as a branch for the non-tax educational items. In order to confirm with the online ordering company that the change is correct, she copies the WebEA link and then emails this on to them so that they can view this update using WebEA. Using the web link that Sandra has sent her, Jing, the client, is now able to open the diagram in WebEA and immediately see these updates. Jing posts a discussion point telling Sandra that they have approved the change and they wanted to proceed with this. Later, Sandra checks the diagram and sees their discussion in the diagram. Back in Sandra's home office, she realises that having updated the model to comply to the regulation, she now needs to pass this on to the off-site developers who have their own repository. They get updates to their repository using baselines posted via the Reusable Asset Service. She opens the Reusable Asset Service and finds the last baseline that she created covering the old Take Orders activity diagram. She then creates a new baseline and publishes this so that it is ready for the off-site developers to download it from the baseline stored on the ProCloud server. She then writes a model mail to the leader of the off-site developers to inform him that there is an update in the RAS server covering the change to the package Take Orders. In the model mail, she gives a reference to the taxation document covering the new changes. She then sends the model mail. The off-site developers have a branch repository covering the latest version signed off by the analysts. In this case, it's version 2. Sandeep checks the existing activity diagram to see how the sales tax was originally modelled. He then opens the Reusable Asset Service, finds the Take Orders, and imports the update from the RAS server into their branch repository. He then checks the existing activity diagram to see that the update has been made. Now back to Sandra. On returning to a Gantt chart, her next task is for another product range that has different costings for wholesale and retail, along with options for volume discounts. It's logged in their Doors repository that she has access to via the ProCloud integration. On analysing this, given it could require processing based on a number of parameters, she's running over her options. This could include setting up a state chart or an activity diagram and then generating code from these based on a set of input parameters. But on further review, she realises that this is best dealt with using a Decision Modelling Notation Diagram, or DMN, which can also be generated out to code. So she sets the perspective to decision modelling. This opens the model wizard. She selects a simple business knowledge model. She then uses this as a base to start to add the business logic. She's now added some decisions and business knowledge models. These include, first of all, the product types. This provides a table of raw prices. Then a formula for calculating the bulk price based on the quantity purchased, and a formula to provide discounts for wholesalers, consultants and resellers. She then tests this using the simulation to check the results are correct. She also tests other scenarios to see that all the results are consistent. Having confirmed the results are correct, she uses the Generate Module tab to generate out the code for the customer to use on their web server. Before sending this out, she does a quick check to make sure it's all correct. Firstly, she has a look over the code to ensure it includes the required functions. Then, using the internal script view, she actually runs the JavaScript code that was just generated. This produces a set of outputs in the debug view. These are based on the defaults that were set in the DMN model. From the debug view, she then checks that the outputs are consistent with the simulation and the source DMN. She sends the JavaScript files onto the client for further review and then opens her Gantt chart. Given she is waiting on a review from the client, she marks the tasks as 90% complete in the Gantt chart. As you can see from this demonstration, using the ProCloud server, Sandra has been able to work off-site and have access through the model to a comprehensive set of features, enabling her to fully collaborate with staff, clients, and off-site developers, including posting updates on the model to WebEA and receiving client feedback, posting updates of the model for external developers to access, using baselines on the reusable asset service, integrating with client applications for getting their details like their requirements as well as exchanging discussions, and finally generating code for the clients based on details obtained via the integration features. For more information using Enterprise Architect via the ProCloud server, see the ProCloud server overview on our website, sparxsystems.com/ProCloud server.